Hi everyone, thanks for visiting my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Carol and I'm so glad that you stopped by. I hope you will consider subscribing to my channel. So today we have a delicious, quick and easy jam for you, perfect for fall. It is, well, if you go by Bernardin's website, it's called Mom's Apple Pie in a Jar. Other places refer to it as apple pie jam. So either way, it's going to be delicious, has a lot of great fall flavors in it, and of course apples are the star of our show. So the recipe calls for you to use Granny Smith or another tart apple, and I highly recommend that you use a tart apple. This jam recipe contains a lot of sugar. It has 9 cups of sugar, so I think a tart apple will be better for balancing out some of that sweetness. We are also going to be using some raisins. Now you can use raisins or you can use dried cranberries. Dried cranberries would be beautiful here as well as tasty, so whichever you prefer. I'm going to be using raisins, but you can use the cranberries as well. We need 9 cups of sugar. We need 6 cups of chopped, cored, and peeled apples. We need the grated zest and juice of 1 lemon. We need 1 cup of unsweetened apple juice. We need the 9 cups of sugar, like I said. Our seasoning is going to be ground cinnamon. They're recommending 1 teaspoon and a half a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Now, of course, whatever seasonings you like in your apple pie, you could certainly use here. So feel free to change that up if you prefer. Now, for the pectin, I want to bring this up because this is a really good point, and many of you, if you're in my canning Facebook group, many of you have struggled with getting your jams and jellies to set. And I noticed this when I went over this recipe. They are wanting you to use 1 package of the Bernardin original fruit pectin, and then in parentheses it says it's 57 grams. Well, I can't get Bernardin in my area, so I picked up Sure Gel. Usually I try to use ball pectin or the ball bulk pectin, but my grocery store was out of it, so I picked up Sure Gel. Then when I looked at the weight of the pectin, it is only 49 grams in this package, so that is not going to be enough to get this to set. So I had a little bit of bulk pectin left over, so I actually measured out the 57 grams of pectin that we need. So all boxes of pectin are not the same amount. I don't know why they do that, but they are not. So I also measured it, and it is about 6 tablespoons of pectin. So if you're using Sure Gel, it seems to be a little short in comparison to what most recipes call for. So just be aware of that. Like I said, I actually measured mine, and it came out to be about 6 tablespoons of pectin. So if you've ever made jams and jellies, you know it's fast and furious, so you want to make sure you have all of your ingredients together before you ever get started. We are going to throw everything in our pot with the exception of our sugar. We're going to bring it up to a hard boil, add our sugar, boil for 1 minute, and then we're ready to jar things up. So you need to make sure you have all of your jars washed and ready to go. You want to make sure that they are hot. This recipe gives instructions for canning in the 8-ounce jelly jars. So that's what we're going to be using. You want to make sure you have your canner ready. I'm going to be steam canning. You guys know I love my steam canner, but you can also water bath can this. You just want to make sure if you are water bath canning, you have enough water in your pot that it will cover your jars by at least 1 inch once your jars are in your canner. So once you have everything ready, we are ready to get started. So let's get going. Okay guys, here we go. You want to make sure your heat is on high. We need 6 cups of cored, peeled, and chopped apples, 1 cup of apple juice. You can also use white grape juice if you prefer, the juice and zest of 1 lemon, 3/4 cup of raisins or dried cranberries, our seasonings, which were 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon and a half of a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, but again, you can adjust that to whatever you would put in apple pie. And then we need our pectin. I've got 6 tablespoons of pectin here. And we're gonna stir all that together. And we wanna bring this up to a full rolling boil. You wanna make sure you're stirring frequently so nothing burns or scorches on the bottom. Okay guys, once you are at a nice hard boil, we are going to add 9 cups of sugar all at once. You want to stir, stir, stir. This is important, guys. I learned this the hard way. You want to make sure your heat is on high the entire time, because once we get going here, we want to bring this mixture up to a full rolling boil that cannot be stirred down. And the only way you can do that is on high heat. So make sure your heat is cranked up as high as it will go. Stir, stir, stir to get everything all mixed together. And then we want to bring this up to a full boil that cannot be stirred down, and we are going to boil it hard for 1 minute. Okay guys, we are at a full boil that cannot be stirred down. That just means that obviously when you're stirring, it's still boiling nice and hard. That's what we're looking for. So we need to boil hard for 1 minute, and then we are ready to jar things up. Okay guys, we're ready to jar things up. I have 2 hot jars. We are going to fill them to 1/4 inch headspace. And I don't think I have to tell you how amazing my kitchen smells. This is gonna be so good. Okay, once you get to about 1/4 inch headspace, you're gonna take a debubbling tool, plastic butter knife, or chopstick to release your air bubbles. Make sure your headspace stays at about 1/4 inch. If it needs to be adjusted, you can add more. Usually it will decrease a little bit once you remove your bubbles. Then we're going to take a paper towel dipped in white vinegar to clean our rims. We don't want anything to interfere with us getting a good seal, so you want to make sure they're nice and clean. And then we're going to take our lids and put those on, and then we're going to add our bands to fingertip tight. And then in the canner they go. Okay guys, I got my 9 1-cup jelly jars full of delicious jam. I did have a little bit left in my pot. Probably not enough for another jar, but maybe, so it'll vary between 9 to 10 1-cup jelly jars. So now we want to crank up our heat. If you're water bath canning, make sure that you have enough water covering your jars by at least 1 inch. We're going to crank our heat up to high. Once you come to a full rolling boil for water bath canning, you're ready to start your processing time. For steam canning, you have a dial gauge on top of your canner that tells you when to start timing, and we're going to process for 10 minutes. After you process for 10 minutes, let your jar sit for about 5, and then we can see how delicious our jam is. Okay guys, we are all done. I processed for 10 minutes like I told you, and then I let my jars sit for about 5. And here we are with this beautiful apple pie jam. Bernardin is calling it apple pie. Mom's apple pie in a jar, I think, but it is just stunning. So pretty and really, really delicious. So a couple thoughts that I had. You could really jazz this up and make it special by adding a couple of tablespoons of apple brandy or some apple schnapps. Any type of liqueur would make this really nice. I didn't have anything like that on hand, so I didn't add any liqueurs, but you guys know that I love to add them to jams and jellies, and I love to cook with them. So that would be a great way to make this really special, especially if you were doing something like gifting for the holidays. This would be fantastic. Lots of great ways to use this. I'm thinking you could even use it as a filling in cinnamon rolls, that kind of thing, obviously on toast, biscuits, stirred into oatmeal. Lots of delicious and yummy ways to use it. So I hope you'll give it a try. I will leave a link to the recipe itself on Bernardin's website. I will also list things for you in the description box below. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them for me there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you next time. Have a great day, guys.